these 70,000 in black and gold, I think, will help the purple and gold that traveled.
Washington and Iowa together again on the football field. Caden Weegan on the return, and he shimmies to the outside. He'll get to the 32. He got hit a little bit late, and they want a marker. They're not going to get it, it looks like. Cade McNamara and the Iowa offense. The goal is to protect the football after a couple of turnovers last week. He is 20-6, though, as an FBS starter.
Yeah, in last week's first half, as good as he's played. I mean, the ball was out. There were third down conversions through the air. They don't hit the explosive plays much. They rely on that run game, and Cade knows he can't turn it over 3 times as he did in the second half against Ohio State.
He should have one weapon back. Seth Anderson likely to play at some point today, the wide receiver who made his Iowa debut last year. Caleb Johnson out of the backfield. He and Coleman both great at breaking tackles, but the centerpiece of this Iowa offense in large part is the offensive line.
Yeah, just a bunch of grown-ups there, a bunch of guys that have been 4-year starters, and they are just massive. They work together well. Logan is so powerful at center. And then in the skill positions, it is a bit of a working process. When Luke Lachey, the tight end, your leading pass catcher, you're just not getting quite enough done out on the perimeter.
They are without Addison Ostrenga, the second tight end, as Johnson bangs off a couple bodies. Carson Bruner, the leading tackler, made the stop. Third down for Iowa. Not a whole lot back in this Washington defense, but Steve Belichick has them playing great football.
He does. He loves to outnumber the box. Tunaufi is just a weapon, especially on third downs. They love to move him around. Lots of experience at the second level. 2 fifth-year players that have played a lot of ball. Actually, Tupatala, a 6-year player. And on the back end, a bunch of new pieces. Fabiki Lannon loves this scheme and told us as much this week.
The freedom of this scheme that Belichick, Bill's son, has instituted, we heard a lot about from players this week. McNamara to throw, third down, incomplete for Vander Zee. And the coverage from Thaddeus Dixon. It's punt time for Iowa.
One of the things, and you know with Belichick, it's what he's always loved to do, both dad Bill, son Steve, man-to-man coverage. We're just going to line up. We're going to play man-to-man. We're going to load that box, and you got to beat us. You've got to out-execute us through the air, and that time Dixon all over the little hitch route to knock it away.
Tory Taylor is gone. The Bears did make a hype video for him this week. He still has a legacy here, but Reese Dakin from the same hometown, Melbourne, Australia, as Tory Taylor will boot it away. And that's a missile to the 10-yard line. They've got another punter here in black and gold. It's 55 yards of thunder from Dakin. And now the Washington offense. Will Rogers III, incredibly accurate so far in his first season transferring from Mississippi State.
5th best completion percentage in all of college football. He's limited in mistakes. That has also been a tremendous strength. And he and Jed are going to have to work together. Coach Fish telling us really clearly, we got a neat relationship. It's only been about 6-7 months, but we trust one another. We've talked a lot about patience this week. When you're facing this opponent, you've got to be patient, and you got to hit your shots when you get them.
And when do you take the shots is part of that equation, as Cameron Davis is in the backfield on a first down screen, and it's Davis against an Iowa defense that has just not seen very many screens this year, just 10 all year, fewest in the FBS, and Washington hits for 18.
Just a terrific job by these two. Landon Hatchett making the start at left guard, Titi Ali'i, the center right there. Watch them block, 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 and then get out, get off YA Black, and then there is nobody there at the second level. Screens are so often about the precision of timing, and that was excellent.
What do you think about screens against this Iowa defense?
Hard to do, and as you said, I think the unknown there, not showing that much, helped.
Coleman toss it back. Rogers will launch down the field inside the 35. Rashid Williams, and Iowa got back there. It's incomplete. Deshaun Lee on the coverage.
And that ball hung for just a second. Lee is a tad early here. You can see he bumps. And typically when you bump early like that and you impede the receiver, the penalty flag is going to come down. That wasn't even quite bang, bang. He is into that hip. A little surprised, and Rogers disappointed. That's one of those shots. You said win? How about play 2 with a little flea flicker? And that ball just hung up in the Midwest air enough for the incompletion.
I wonder, and now we're going to see two quarterbacks in this game for Washington. Damon Williams on the run this time. We might see a second quarterback for Iowa as well. And it's third down coming up. But this is a package that they've used at points this year with Williams, the freshman, coming in, and Rogers will be back.
Dynamic guy. One of the fastest Huskies on the team. Mahi, the transfer from Ohio State. Basically all new faces, and most of them after the summertime. But they have coalesced well under the leadership of Brendan Carroll. And Denzel Boston's second best touchdown reception maker in college football. You know what's funny? I saw Jed on the field before the game. I said, first play, flea flicker? And I should have known then. Not first play, but second play, and they nearly got it.
He said, I can't do it the way Brock said it, but, you know, we'll install it for you. This crowd is loud. Third down. Rogers does get it away. It's Latu, and he has the first down. Tackled by Kyler Fisher. It's a gain of 9.
And he is one big target and has just continued to grow in some continuity here with Will Rogers. 7 receptions a week ago. Nice job there by Will. He double clutches on that little mesh concept. Everybody's running those lateral routes. You got to wait for your target to open up. And 85 at 6'7", 245. The transfer from Nevada, one-time Cal Golden Bear, become a reliable target for Will Rogers.
Allison Williams reporting that the starting left tackle Maximus McCree left the game, so they're without their current starting left tackle. Double screen look. They'll go to the far side and get to the 44-yard line with Giles Jackson. Jay Higgins, their leading tackler forever, it seems, makes the stop there. This Iowa defense, Graves great in the middle, but this is as team of a team concept as you'll see.
Yeah, fifth year, sixth year, they all know it. They all know the angles. They're led. The guy, the straw in the middle that stirs the whole drink is Jay Higgins. What a blast to talk to that mature man yesterday. And Jamar Harris, the best cover corner by quite a ways on the back end of that defense.
This is a run. They'll go inside with Jonah Coleman. Herkett with the stop. Third down again. And so imperative for Washington to give the defense a little bit of a breather with the way Iowa leans on you late in games.
It is, and so imperative to give that defense on the other side for Jed Fish, who's faced them a few times in this building. Different looks. Here's a screen. Here's a flea flicker. Here's inside. Here's outside. You got to keep that group moving. And most importantly, stay ahead of the chains. A very manageable 3rd and 4.
7th play of the drive. They'll send Coleman to the top of the formation. Rogers, short set, accurate again. Into plus territory with Boston. He just waited and waited for his time in college football behind those talented receivers last year.
He did, and this is his strength. He runs a slant route as well as anybody. 6'4", 210 pounds out of Puyallup, Washington, Emerald Ridge High School.
Most famous guy out of
Billy
Puyallup?
Joe Holbert, the national champion, probably the most famous, but Denzel has just, he learned a little something. He didn't pout last year watching Rome Odunze and those guys get so much of the work. He knew his production would come, and it has been off the charts, as you see right there.
First down play action. Rogers feeling the pressure, sidestepping it, throwing, and he's got yet another completion. He's got Davis, Nick Jackson, their second leading tackler with the stop. Second down coming up, but Rogers, nifty footwork there.
Yeah, and those locals, I think you hear them. They want a little hold. They saw a couple Hawkeyes on the ground. I'll say this, they're letting them play a little bit. That's one of the steps in the move to the Big Ten. Not a lot of finesse, man. Penalties, sometimes got to see blood.
Another short set and another completion. Latu off the spin. He's inside the 30. 7 catches last week, 2 already.
Well, I told you, just an NFL style. This is why stick. A play that is in every single NFL playbook. Day one install everywhere, and especially in the West Coast systems. And you see Will Rogers, right? Just, he's been there, he's done it. This venue's amazing. It's a glorious fall day. And none of it bothers him. He plays on time, he plays on target, and that's 2 big catches here for Latu on the opening drive.
He says he's watched more Jared Goff and Matt Stafford than he ever has in this NFL-style offense. And they'll hand it again. Little duck by Coleman. He gets to the outside with a jagged dart. Doctor.
Look at the 1-2 with his feet coming up here. Iowa said they wanted to see those feet go left to right. I don't know if you do, because that jump cut, unlike a lot of big-bodied running backs, Jason, doesn't slow down. I'll tell you, I watch more and more of him, and I see Maurice Jones-Drew in college at UCLA.
Do you?
So low to the ground, so unbelievably quick with that pitter-patter. It's why he's #1 in the country with 24 runs at 10+, and he just added to it.
First down in the red zone. Coleman goes low that time. He'll get a couple of yards. Second down coming up. What do you think it's like tackling him? What do you see on tape visually?
Yeah, trying to tackle a turtle shell. That's
okay.
what I see, like from Mario Brothers, when that thing gets going and just bricks and people just go flying. I mean, there's just no surface area to hit on him as he gets so low. He listed at 5'9", a little shorter than that. So I was, okay, fine. I was the shortest at picture day. I don't care. He's one of the toughest.
Williams is back in, the freshman quarterback, and we got a marker coming in. That's been an issue early in the year for Washington.
Yeah, 2 of them. 2 big issues. Red zone and penalties for Jedd Fisch. 6-0 without him. They'd be, I think, 6-0 in ranked without those 2 issues.
Offense, number 57. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
It's Vimahi.
Yeah, the guy they call Knock Knock was trying to get off the ball there, knows how important it is, comes from 5 years in Big Ten country with the Buckeyes. But you can see the penalty has been an issue. Not last week, just 2 against Michigan went a long way in that upset win.
They stay with Williams here at quarterback. Coleman the tailback. Williams stops, finds Coleman out of the backfield, and he is wrangled, keeps his feet, tunnels ahead to the 15. Aaron Graves finally stopped him, but you're right, his body's clanging off of him.
Yeah, Sebastian Castro, he is a sure tackler on the back end, 6-year player for Iowa. And there's nothing to grab. I'm trying. There's usually some jersey or something. Couldn't corral it. But ultimately, the rest of the buddies, right? The support system is everything at Iowa defensively. They came flying to the rescue.
13th play of the drive against this Iowa defense. Rogers back in, Muhammad the tailback, free runner coming. He spins out of it and throws near side just to pull the ripcord. Fancy footwork from Rogers to make it a more manageable field goal for Gross.
Well, we talked about the left tackle being out, so there is no McCree there. You get into these passing situations, 3rd and 12, just beaten. Herkett is right off the jump. And this is where that patience and decision-making comes into play. Right, if Jedd Fisch and that sound system cuts off at 15, he would say, throw it away, throw it away. And that's exactly what he did.
Grady Gross had some big misses against Rutgers in one of those losses. This is from the left hash mark, from 33. For an early lead in Iowa City. And that is not going to get there. It's blocked by the Hawkeyes. Y.A. Black knocked it away.
Yeah, and that is just too low. The hooks have been an issue. The low kicks have been
for today's Game Flow, sponsored by Progressive. Fourteen-play drive and a 0 for Washington. First red zone stop for Iowa this year, and they'll hand it to Caleb Johnson, who's a tank for 10.5. 7 misses by the kicker this year for Washington, Grady Gross.
Yeah, and that's, what did you say, 14 plays, 73 yards, 7.5 minutes, and you get 0. And that's, well, what happens in this building. You know, and it could be terribly deflating. And actually right now where your defense has got to rise up, and if you're Iowa, well, you got to capture that. You got to capture that momentum with this drive.
So they will go to their strength. Caleb Johnson hangs onto the ball. Bruner tried to rip it free. It's a gain of 13.
Well, we showed off the feet and the fancy feet on the other side. Caleb's got him too at 200-some pounds, and you're going to see him take this pitch and then just go north-south outside stretch zone. A wonderful job there right in the middle by Bo Stevens. And you plant that foot, as Caleb says. Takes you a little while in this system, and by your third year, you know the details of it. You know the angles that you want to hit, the targets you want to hit. And this young man has all season long.
The fumble is under further review.
So let's see, did the ball come out at the end of that play? They're going to take a look. We'll see. Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by Coke Zero Sugar. Is it the best Coke ever? Try and decide. And by AT&T Business. Reliability for your business is our business. The call on the field stood, so not enough evidence to overturn and give Washington the ball. That was very close to a turnover.
That was a great stoppage by replay because it was ever so close. In fact, I think if it was called a fumble on the field, it would have been a fumble. But just not quite enough to overturn it there for Caleb Johnson.
We looked at about 7 different views of it. There was an elbow involved. There was a leg involved. McNamara to throw right over the middle where most of his damage gets done. Luke Lachey, first down. Mike Pereira, what did you see on that play?
You know, we were looking at the shin. That was our focus. And you're right. You know, we were sitting here going, you know, I think it might be. I think, oh, it's close. I think is not the criteria used to overturn it. It's got to be clear and obvious. And I applaud replay for staying with this call.
You think that's the right call?
Yeah, I think you have to stay with that.
Thank you, Mike. They'll go with a short toss coming this way for Weegan. And he's near the 35-yard line.
Yeah, you sell that outside stretch zone, which we saw earlier on the toss, and then you just get the end around coming right back here with Weegan. Perfect timing. And a nice kick out block there as well by Lachey getting in front. Pretty good tempo here. This is exactly, you know, what they were talking about offensively. I know the numbers weren't great. Tim Lester said it, but the tempo is improving.
Johnson straight ahead, running behind Johnny Pascuzzi, the second or third tight end, and they have a tight end room that goes as deep as anybody in America.
They do, and so does their run game. They're just not an inside and outside zone. That time a little bit of power. They can gap scheme it. They can zone it. And as I said, man, this big offensive line that's been together for so many years and tight ends that you just throw into the mix to tight end they make it happen.
150-plus starts on the offensive line. There's Pascuzzi in motion. They'll run from where he came. And Caleb Johnson, who says he runs angry. And they're going to say third down and short here. Somebody told him in 7th grade that he wasn't fast enough to be a running back. He took it personally. He ran for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game, and he decided then that he was going to be a running back no matter what people said.
You just never let go of that heat.
Right back to him. Yeah, you're not going to stop him for a yard. Move the sticks for Iowa on its second possession.
These big old fellas, man, they just love it. They've been doing it for years. What Kirk Ferentz has been teaching, it's what he learned in the 70s. Playing high school football for Joe Moore. It is just a mere drill. It is just driving guys, getting a body on a body, moving them off of their spot. And that run game is followed for 26 seasons.
No matter what the tailback has on the back of his jersey as Moulton checks in. They'll go draw play for him. Kamari Moulton, the freshman, is inside the 10, 1st and goal. Prysock made the stop after 16.
Once again, just a little bit of eye candy here. The motion beforehand. Look at the true freshman house right there. He's going to follow that motion, and that just gives a little bit more opportunity for those big fellas inside, Richmond and Colby and Jones, to once again get a body on a body.
Now the Michigander, Brendan Sullivan, is in. He's been the red zone quarterback at points this year. Nearly 8 yards a carry already for Iowa, and that's a walk-in for Johnson. Touchdown Hawkeyes in a very Hawkeye drive.
Well, we talked last night in our meetings about this trench warfare that's going to happen right here. Guard to guard. That is where this game in so many ways is going to be decided. And you watch those Hawkeyes lift Huskies up off the ground, off their feet. An 8 run drive right there. You said it, man. Classic Iowa, moving people and moving them all the way into the end zone.
Caleb Johnson idolizes Derrick Henry as a running back. You see a little Derrick Henry on that drive?
You just see the force and the want to, right? And like, hey, it's coming at you, and you're going to have to deal with me.
Oh, yeah, he's having a good time, and nobody's going to stop him now. 7-0 Iowa. Let's take a look at our scoring summary, sponsored by Modelo. Now recruiting full-time fans. Please drink responsibly. 6 first downs on first down for Iowa on that drive. Here's the score.
Yeah, and it was about the most Iowa thing you could see here. Look at my guy Jennings Dunker right here. Lift up. That's a 305-pound man in Sebastian Valdez. And then also keep an eye on these two guys right here. You can't do it better than this. Movement to the linebacker and a walk-in for Caleb.
How do they do it, Brock?
Timing, precision. It's their DNA. It's what they do. Other teams throw slant routes and fade routes. You know what they do? Combo block to the second level all winter long.
Oh, that's interesting. It's almost like their pass game, the precision.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's been well-versed for 26 years.
Never met a completion he didn't like. Will Rogers and the Huskies offense back on the field when we come back, trying to even this game. Big Noon Saturday, sponsored by Pacific Life, creating financial security for nearly 160 years. Last time these two teams met. Brock, you want to take this one, or you want me to read it off the card here? It was the West Texas town of El Paso. There were a couple of viewers on location for that. How was your trip?
Yeah, not great. Not real good. Hayden Fry and his Hawkeyes kind of looked well like that last drive. They pounded the football, 200-yard rushers in that game, and yeah, no fun for the true freshman.
Did you tell Damon we were running that footage?
Nope.
Smart family business. First down for Washington. Quick set again for Rogers. He spits it out wide. He's got the tight end Decker DeGraff. And second down coming up, Allison.
You guys know it's a good sign for the Husky fans?
What's that?
Will Rogers has his purple tights. Those are his lucky purple tights. He forgot them at Rutgers. He was not happy about that. Rogers more superstitious than he even cares to admit. Sock, shoe, go on, same order, same song every game. He forgot his tights at Rutgers. Just further affirms the superstition, but he's good here today, guys.
Thank you, Allison. They need it. They're down 7-0 here, and they will run it. It is Coleman, and it'll be third down and short. Jay Higgins again on this stop.
You just got to earn it. I mean, whether it's in the Sun Bowl in El Paso, whether it's here in this beautiful city, you have to take it from these guys. Jonah Coleman knows it. These Huskies know it. Jed Fish knows it. He's had 2 bad experiences in this building as a play caller. They aren't going to give you anything, ever. You got to go try to take it from them.
How similar are they to when you guys played them in the 90s?
It's the same defense. It's the same 4-down quarters coverage. You know what's coming at you. You just have to out-execute them.
Rogers, late first quarter. Another short set. Giles Jackson, first down, right at the 40-yard line. And in 10 seconds, we will see one of the most beautiful, on a human level, traditions at any sporting event in all of America.
Just voted #1, in fact.
The Stead Family Children's Hospital went up 7 years ago, and just organically, the kids in the Children's Hospital started waving. And everybody waves back. We're all people here. And there's so much love and humanity in a world where it's hard to forget, hard to remember sometimes, and it's easy to forget. This is a connection that we hope always exists in college football. Welcome back to Big Noon Saturday, sponsored by AT&T Business. Reliability for your business is our business. 26 years as the head coach at Iowa. He opened 1-10 and 3-9 and made it all the way here, a perennial winner, Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah, and somewhere Pete Carroll's watching it, and he's going like, man, he chomps his gum like I used to chomp my gum. Because Pete's son, Brennan, the O-line coach on the other side, Kirk, an O-line guy at heart, and you know he'd love that last drive by his boys.
8 runs on the drive for Iowa. The freshman Adam Mohammed on this run, and he gets a nice chunk of yardage, about 7 on the first down run.
And Washington doing what Washington wanted to do in this game, right? A 14-play opening drive. They're executing. Will Rogers 8 of 10 in that first quarter. Jonah Coleman 25 yards rushing, got another 10-plus yard run. I mean, they just did so many things right. But when you don't finish in the red zone and you can't kick, you got a problem playing good football teams.
They've only turned it over 3 times in 6 games, but those field goal misses are like turnovers for Washington's clean offense. Mohammed again right into the teeth of that defense, and 3rd and 1.5 against Phil Parker's defense.
Yeah, and they walk an extra Hawkeye up there in the booth, but they don't do a lot of that for Phil Parker, the longtime D coordinator, and you can see the success. The Royals Award winner, top assistant in college football a season ago, and he says, hey, I get it. You know, fans may not always love it. The 2 safeties keep everything in front of you, bend, bend. But he knows the odds, and you limit explosive plays, you'll win a whole lot of football games.
3rd and 1. Play action to Mohammed. Rogers flushed, throwing before he gets hit, and he airmailed it. And now does Jedd Fisch, trailing by 7, decide to go for it or punt?
This is where they get you. This is where Iowa just puts you in a grinder and puts you in a bind. You try to take your shot on 3rd and 1, right? Nope, wrong. There's 2 guys. There's 2 Hawkeyes on the back end of it. Hard to defeat Castro. And Will does all he can to extend the play. Not many outlets there. And I think this is a decision made on the fact you can't kick it well, and Iowa just ran it right down your throat.
Now Williams is in. Is this a sneak, Brock?
It's usually not. It's usually using his feet off a little zone read action.
That's what they'll do. He broke the tackle and he skates free. 1st down and more inside the 35-yard line.
Yeah, and it is Jamari Harris who is the edge support defender there, right here, right in front of you. He's got the edge in this little zone run game. And that is just athlete on athlete, a superior play by the true freshman to break the tackle and pay off the bet there by Jedd Fisch to go for it.
He was a track star in high school. His team won the 4x100 as a high school junior.
He can fly. I mean, he can flat out fly, and why you see him not just in the special package, but all over the course of impacting the game.
Coleman back in, his first carry in the 2nd quarter. Gets him across the 30. Nick Jackson again on the stop. What are you laughing at?
Well, I mean, like Nick Jackson has made a lot of those. 492 of them coming into today. He, too, is kind of a low center gravity guy, right? About 5'11", and just watch the end of this run like, oh, this is why we do Tackle Tuesday and Whack 'em Wednesday, so I can just callous my body for collisions like that.
It's like an arrow off a shield sometimes. Coleman moves into the backfield. The 9th play of this drive after a 14-play empty drive last time, and Coleman just leans his body forward for a couple. Jackson and Higgins once again on the stop. I'll just tell you when they don't make the tackle.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, too. Brendan Carroll for Jedd Fisch is the offensive coordinator. He's the O-line coach, and he has done a terrific job. Unlike Iowa that's got 150 combined starts up front, this is a bunch of different parts that have been thrown together really in training camp. There's a good look at Brennan. He's done an awesome job, man. His guys are playing with continuity and a fierceness that you wouldn't expect for so much inexperience.
And he's borrowed the defensive lineman here, boy, Tunu Ufi in at fullback. He's there to block to set up this throw to Jackson for a 1st down inside the red zone.
know I like 52. Tuluufi right there. And he didn't have to do too much here. But a 3rd and 2 call, a heavy box there, and just once again, how about the timing? You see those throws on Sunday, and I love the Jared Goff comp. Will Rogers says, I watch a lot of them. And it's a good one to watch because he doesn't have an overwhelming arm, but he's got an overwhelming processor.
First down, free runner coming. He drops it off on a screen, and it's incomplete. Jay Higgins was in there. 2nd down.
Yeah, Jay's coming right at you. Oops, excuse me, right at you here on this blitz. It's actually Jackson, the other linebacker. I get it, they look alike, they play alike, but he comes right at him. Higgins on the other side. Really difficult to beat these two guys. And that's one of the nice things, Jason, when you don't blitz a lot, the times you do can be very effective.
Higgins was on the other side on the pass. 2nd down, they're everywhere. They both were involved in that play. 2nd down throw off a stunt. Rogers over the middle. That's a beautiful ball to the slot man, Jeremiah Hunter, 1st and goal.
Wow, you are spot on that, my friend. That is just a little crossing route. You got an underneath route that is holding the linebacker, and then you have got to whiz this right over the linebackers, Higgins, and right in front of the safety, Wampa. Big time throw.
Now Rogers out, Williams back in. Next to Coleman, 1st and goal.
Wow, and again.
Oh my.
Totally clean in the drive all the way down, right?
False start. Offense number 86. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
2nd one of those today. This one on DeGraff.
Yeah, and that's the true freshman. And you're right into the teeth of it, right at the band, right at the noise. You could see the red zone struggles. They were so sharp a week ago, 3 of 4 for Jedd Fisch, but penalties derailed the last one. Not the way you want to start pre-snap penalties.
The touchdown maker, Boston, at the top of the screen. Coleman, the tailback, goes crashing into Jackson, and Higgins, 2nd and goal.
So do you call this differently? That always comes into question for me. Jedd Fisch told us really clearly yesterday, Jason, hey man, these missed kicks are not affecting me. They're not affecting the psychology of the team. I don't know how that's possible, but I think he's saying it, trying to tell himself that because he knows it does. He knows you do all that work of 14 plays, you got to pay it off. Now you're close enough that should not be an issue, but it starts to get in your head as a play caller, as a team, and sometimes even the decision-making of a veteran quarterback.
Rogers back on. He wants to throw, launching end zone. Boston, touchdown again. The 9th of the season for Denzel Boston.
Well, this is pretty good right here. Watch the steps. It's just going to be a little fade route, right? He's just going to go right to the back corner of the end zone, create space. The whole key there, Jason. And it's what he learned from Ron Madunze and all those vets. Don't run to the pylon.
Yep.
Run into that DB so your QB's got all that real estate to put it right back there for the big frame at 6'4" to go get it. Now number 9 on the season.
A second 7-minute drive for Washington. This one gets 6. The one thing Jedd Fisch said to us about Boston and his skill set is he tracks the ball so well over his shoulder, and just watch him on a little hesitation here bring this thing in. It's a beautiful effort for 6 for the Huskies. Washington's longest drive this year prior to today was 13 plays. Twice they've gone 14 plays. This one ends in a touchdown.
Yeah, just been totally ahead of the chains, right? No penalties until they got in the red zone. And unlike the first drive, they overcame that false start there. But it's what Iowa demands of you. And Will Rogers knew it all week long. He and Jedd Fisch said many times we go into a game trying to attack an opponent. This is the kind of game where you've got to reinforce that patience, manage the game, out-execute a team who in this building is really good at it.
Well, they've had the ball for 14:46. Iowa has only owned the football for 5:55. So if you're the Hawkeyes, you're like, we're fine 7-7. Right now, we haven't seen the ball a whole lot. As this is a short kick to the 15-yard line, and Weegan, a track star in his own right, gets upended at about the 36-yard line. We got to step aside one more time, but the Hawkeyes will have it back when we come back. Washington and Iowa, just the 7th meeting. And guess what? To honor that, it's 7-all. Big Noon Saturday, sponsored by United Airlines. Good leads the way. First meeting ever, Iowa and Washington. It was the varsity debut of the namesake of the stadium now, Niall Kinnick, who eventually became the lone Heisman winner for Iowa in 1939. The other quarterback, Frank Waskowitz, they called Fritz for Washington, had the Huskies on 2 touchdown passes into the end zone. They both went on to serve their country in the war, and they both very sadly perished in the service of their country. But an interesting tie and the binding connection of service of country for these two institutions, separated by a couple of time zones. First down for Iowa. Caleb Johnson on the run. He's upright until he's not, and he crashes into you. It's second down coming up. There is a marker in on the play.
Don't see a lot of these.
The least penalized team in the FBS, the Hawkeyes.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit, offense number 67. The 15-yard penalty being enforced from the end of the run. The down does count. It is second down.
It's on Jennings, dunker, and that is the type of penalty Kirk Ferentz just loathes.
Yeah, and that's it actually wasn't. It doesn't look like it. It's into the Husky bench. I think Jennings Dunker's like, why? Tim Lester too, when they watch the tape, like, that wasn't Jennings. I think that was Logan Jones, just a miscommunication there. Yeah, look at poor Jennings, like, what did I do? You're going to see here, it's Logan Jones who has this block right here, and he just never lets go. And he is right into the water cooler, and Jennings is like, why in the world do you call me for the penalty?
I was just high-fiving the guy.
Yes.
Second down, they have to get to the 47. McNamara throws it. It's a quick hit to Lachey, and he'll get some of the penalty yards back.
Yeah, and for Tim Lester up in the booth, he does bring a little NFL flavor. He didn't like the open of our show today and said, hey, hold on a second. I get it. This is collegial. You know, we do many of the same things, but Tim's bringing that NFL with the Packers a season ago. The LaFleurs are good friends of his. In fact, Mike LaFleur played for him when he was a head coach back in small college level. But he also knows this offense is not built typically to overcome those kind of negative plays, and they don't have many penalties.
Do have a couple freshman receivers on the field right now, Howard and Bowie. There's Anderson in motion. It's 3rd and 11. McNamara gets rid of a possible sacker and now goes down. Holtzclaw first, and then came the cavalry. Isaiah Ward finished the deal, a loss of 12.
This is pretty good. You get to third downs against any Belichick scheme. That New England Patriots, you see all the guys here, right, forcing the line to block in, and therefore you get the one-on-ones on the outside. Holtzclaw beats the tight end, and then the rest of the dog posse comes chasing. Don't get in 3rd and long against Belichick, and I don't care if it's Grandpa Steve, if it's Bill, or if it's the namesake, the younger one. Steve Belichick does a masterful job in those situations.
Steve said, Grandpa taught him, never keep your eye off the football, and don't keep your eye anywhere but Reese Dakin, the punter. 61 yards through the sky.
You love Iowa punters.
But how can you not? You see that thing?
Coming up on the State Farm halftime, Alabama tries to bounce back from last weekend's huge upset. Clemson goes for a 5th straight win, and the Big Noon kickoff crew is in Provo to preview unbeaten BYU in Arizona. Jason and Brock, I'm going to the store. You guys want something? I can bring it to you at the half. Just let me know.
Just grab a bunch of stuff, Mike. You never know what Brock's going to want. All right, 2 14-play drives for Washington.
Incredible.
Here they go again. Mohammed, the tailback, and the freshman on the run. He gets whacked by Wampa. It's a gain of 7. I mean, when the sound you make is your last name, that's Iowa football.
A big-time recruit. A couple years ago, the biggest, actually, in the history of the school for Kirk Ferentz. With another positive run on first down.
And speed back to the line for Washington. Rogers whistles it over the middle. That's a first down for Giles Jackson.
You know, I watched some of Will Rogers in the spring, and I thought Jake Browning. And the more that I watch him, I do actually like that Jared Goff. Now, he's not as big. Jared's 6'4", #1 pick in the draft and everything else. But the production has been off the chart. The coach's son, his dad running the air raid down in Mississippi. Family friends with the Minshews. Knows how to get the ball out, knows how to play in space, and has been deadly accurate this season.
The same city, Brandon, Mississippi. Gardner Minshew. Play action. He gets hit. Did the ball come out is the question. It did. Aaron Graves ripped it free. Iowa football.
Well, they were worried about Aaron Graves. 3 sacks in the opener against Illinois State. And, you know, maybe the stats haven't been gigantic since, but the impact is. He gets right into Enoch Vamahi right there. He forces the fumble. His buddy Llewellyn in on the other end of it. This isn't a huge sack team, right? This is not a hyper-aggressive team. But when they do get home, it's usually dangerous and effective, and it sets this offense up in the red zone.
Some of the question is, can they get to the quarterback? Are there more sacks after losing Joe Evans in his final season here, and now all the way to the red zone already? Eli Miller, the fullback, in motion. McNamara steps up. He got hit. He throws it wide. It's caught by Johnson. Elijah Jackson on the coverage. That was Tuputala who had him by the leg. And Steve Belichick, what a creative defense, Brian.
As you see Jed Fish and Will Rogers having a little conversation right there. Just the 4th turnover, 2nd fumble for Will this season. They don't give it away much. And you're absolutely right, man. For Belichick, he's got these guys fired up. These situations, NFL D coordinator, an NFL background, knows how to handle game situations pretty well.
Johnson is lifted off the ground by Bandez. That's hard to do. 3rd down.
Yeah, Bandez on that touchdown run. You know, we showed earlier he got double teamed there. He said, not so fast that time. I'm going to get 2 hands on you. And I'm going to beat you, Bo Stevens, and defeat that block. Nice job by the big fella there. Most productive season of his career. Now 11 sacks on the season. One of the 6-year guys that stuck around.
Iowa coming in had only run 40 red zone plays all season. That was 103rd in the country. They bogged down here, 3rd and 10. Quick throw, it's dropped. Seth Anderson put it right on the ground, and the fans here are not thrilled.
Well, they don't love it, but there was going to be nowhere to go. That defense was prepped and pretty well versed for that series, and that's called sudden change. And as a QB for Cade McNamara, he knows it was that first down play that really set it backwards. Husky defense rises up, and now a 37-yard attempt for Stevens.
Only 1 miss this year for Stevens. Basically straight away from 37. For the Iowa lead, it is good. Tomorrow on Fox, don't miss game 1 of the NLCS. Coast to coast, Francisco Lindor and the Mets try to continue their incredible run, OMG, as they take on Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, and the Dodgers, who got by rival San Diego. It all begins tomorrow, 8 Eastern on Fox.
Any star power in that one at all?
I mean, what a series.
And it's so strange that the Mets feel like underdogs, right?
Yeah.
Because they have spent, and they've got a roster full of stars, but to dig out of the hole they did this season, to move on from people a year ago, and to come together at just the right time.
I mean, you think about it, 2 months into the season, they had one of their pitchers throwing his glove over the netting and then getting released. Like, there was some turmoil there, and Carlos Mendoza's done a marvelous job of, well, you know,
shimmy,
staying in the building. Drew Stevens on the approach. Reynolds decides to not take it out, so it's not one for the money, two for the show. 1993, a long time ago, the Cleveland Browns, talked about Steve Belichick, his dad Bill, on the same staff with Kirk Ferentz.
Pretty cool. And asking Kirk about that and what he remembers, what he took away from Bill, and he said he's an amazing listener. Sometimes head coaches aren't always the best listeners, remarkably curious as well, and made a huge imprint and impact in those 3 years together.
Kirk Ferentz said he'd bring something up in conversation, and then like 3 months later, even though he thought Bill wasn't listening, he'd say, "Oh, remember when you said that?" Rodgers, the throw to the near side. It's a long throw, and it's Giles Jackson who's planted after a short gain by Wampa.
And once again, you see just the closing speed, just a difference maker at 6'2", 215. So many great safeties through the years. Corners at Iowa. Just not many built 6'2", 215 in 5 stars. Able to keep him in state. Gonna be a good one for years to come.
Davis is drilled, hit first by Graves, who has been a wrecking ball.
Yeah, he's a problem, as they like to say. Washington knew guard to guard, so much of this game will be defined there, right here. Could we handle those two guys? Y.A. Black and Graves play a bunch of snaps. Got beat on the pass rush earlier. That time he tosses Vimahi aside in the backfield. And many of those 14-play drives, you know what they had, Jason? 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. Not a favorable 3rd and 6 plus here.
How exotic will Phil Parker get?
Careful leaving these guys on the perimeter one-on-one. I don't think too exotic.
Rush got there with 4 only. They flush him out of the pocket. The throw is incomplete. Llewellyn on the pursuit in the end, and it's 4th down.
You said a couple different times, Jason, nifty feet from Will Rogers. Not just the 2 running backs, but an excellent job here as you're going to see the pressure come off the edge. And Will's done this a bunch. He just spins right out of it. Once again, no McCree today, so beat right off the snap. Brian Allen in the backfield. Will gets away from it, just could not quite put enough oomph to get that 3rd down conversion.
Jack McAllister to punt. Last 2 drives, just 6 plays for Washington. They'll say no penalty on the back end of it, and there goes Weegen. Shot out of a cannon to the 35. He saw a wide open Midwestern landscape and took off.
Yeah, this former walk-on knows his role. 43-yard punt, 38 on the return. Yeah, I don't think there's any penalty here. Just did not get a lot of it. A little bump into the punter. That's not a penalty. And then Weegen sees the green grass in front of him.
Just on behalf of Washington fans, though, the spirit of the rule is to make a punter who can't defend himself clean. And so just because he didn't fall doesn't mean there wasn't contact. That's all I would say. Is that fair?
It is. I think it's been consistent through this game. There's been not many ticky-tack calls, and I like it that way.
Johnson steps outside and just rams forward for about 5.
He just has that forward lane that the great ones have. 2nd in the country, only behind that kid up in Boise by the name of Genty that is just a monster shredding records. But Caleb has grown into some of the physicality. Kirk said, you know, the step he's taken this year, he's always been dynamic. Right? But now he's running into and through contact.
And both these teams have been very good at that. Top 10 teams, you saw there's somebody on his back after about 1 or 2 yards. He ends up with 5, call it 6. With Anderson in motion, they'll run it again. This time he only ends up with 2 as Davis makes the stop, the freshman D tackle, and they'll likely take it down to 2 minutes. You know, this new Big Ten, you end up with styles in a blender. Teams that just haven't really catered what they do to each other yet. Iowa, Wisconsin know each other so well. Washington, Oregon, they know each other so well. These two teams aren't exactly familiar. And so there's this feeling out process that leads to maybe some rivalries in the future. This is a tight one, as we expected, down to the 2-minute timeout. Big Noon Saturday, sponsored by Allstate. You're in good hands. And by Modelo. Now recruiting full-time fans. Please drink responsibly. Gorgeous Iowa City. The Hawkeyes have a 10-7 lead and a 3rd down and 1 coming up. And Brendan Sullivan is in at quarterback. As the fans just enjoy a day in the sun.
About as good as it gets for mid-October here. Just perfect.
They'll move Johnson in motion. They'll fake it to him. Sullivan pounds it forward. 1st down, Iowa. Downstairs, Allison.
Well, Sullivan is the guy they want to use more and more within this offense. Offensive coordinator Tim Lester said you will see more of him, not just in that 3rd down in the red zone like we did earlier. They really like the physicality he brings to just a different dimension to this offense. And he says it's something that Cade McNamara is more than okay with. They've communicated very clearly he is the starter, but Sullivan will get lots of playing time.
He's got a 1st down for him. McNamara right back in. This is Moulton who broke one earlier, and it's not like the Brad Banks situation 20 years ago where it's one drive, the 3rd drive of the game. It's whenever the situation dictates, as we will get a whistle. And an injured player, Cam Fabiculanan, is down for Washington, and they've used their 1st timeout. So, you know, if you're the Huskies here, you have 2 timeouts left. Fabiculanan is a major player on this defense who is injured. So 2 things at issue here. His injury, but then also Iowa has a 1st down available. So how do you use these timeouts if you're Jed Fish?
Yeah, it kind of comes down to just some of the game management. You do get the ball to begin the 2nd half. That 3 and out to start the game, Jed deferring on that toss. He knows exactly what this game was going to play out like and feel like. The NFL that he spent 13 years in, where every possession is a premium. So I think it depends a little bit here for Steve Belichick and crew. If you get that stop, if you can create a negative play, then you take the timeout. But you also know you get it to begin the 2nd half.
Dyson McCutcheon has come on in place of Fabiculanan for this play at least. Is this 3 runs here, the first one and then these 2?
I mean, I think you've got a pretty good tight end in Lachey. I think you can move the pocket a little bit. Right? What was successful on that touchdown drive was a lot of that pre-snap movement, right? They really started to impact and affect. I thought some of the eyes at the 2nd and 3rd level. Creativity is what the folks in the black and the gold want to see just a little bit more of, especially in these scoring situations.
Second and 7. And another whistle. More discussion. There was an announcement about starting the clock at the snap. Then there was another whistle.
I think even the officials know every second in this matchup could be pretty crucial. Make sure you get it right.
See what Tim O'Day has to say if he makes an announcement here. Kirk Ferentz is on the field. Fabiculanan is not. For one play at least. He looks like he's ready to go back in. Would you attack that spot here with him off?
Not necessarily the kind of offense that creates those matchups all the time.
McNamara to throw on second down. Johnson out of the backfield. Turns it upfield and scores. Cade McNamara, his first touchdown pass since week 1. And his first one against a power team since he did it against Iowa 3 years ago in maize and blue. Stevens, the extra point, and suddenly this is a crucial Washington drive on the way.
Yeah, take a look right here at Caleb Johnson. He's going to be in the backfield, and he's going to come out on this route, and watch his little feet here work through the mesh. Right, you're going to see the crossing routes on the inside, and then he's going to use the little feet, and he's going to get right out there through the traffic and just gets a leverage on Bruner right there. Just that step, kind of in the run game as well, right? You want to try to get that half-step advantage. The key, Jason, is Caleb had to sift through that line of scrimmage. And unfortunately, Bruner, with all that traffic all around him, all those crossers, just a step behind, and Caleb knows how to do the rest.
Pays off the Weegan punt return. But talking to Tim Lester, he said to McNamara a couple of weeks ago, he said, don't look at your stats, but I like your timing, and I like the feel of it. Then last week, Ohio State's a different challenge.
Yep.
But they felt like something was moving forward here.
Well, he's beginning to know even more so, right, at this stage of his career, a couple devastating knee injuries the last couple years, what he can do and what he can't. And to Allison's report, he's fine bringing in Sullivan. Sullivan can run. I've got to use my brain and be accurate, and when it's there, take advantage, and that time he did.
Into the end zone and a touchback. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary, sponsored by Pacific Life, creating financial security for nearly 160 years.
Yeah, Rogers doing kind of Rogers things with the efficiency and the accuracy. Had the fumble that turned into 3 points for Iowa. McNamara's not asked to do a lot, but when it is there, you got to hit it. And for Caleb Johnson, on pace for another 100-yard day. Ho-hum, just who he is here.
One of those announcements, by the way, Brock, that the officials made was that Washington got its timeout back. And so there are 3 timeouts for Washington. They put it back on the board. It is first down from the 25. Rogers a pump. He'll go to the sideline, and Giles Jackson right on his hands. First down, Huskies.
Yeah, this is good. You're just faking the little screen inside, and then you're going to get the route down the sidelines, right? You're going to fake the screen. You could see Castro. He bites just a step. Eyes are on Boston down the field, and you sneak that little seam. A little hole shot for a big, big gain.
Castro, such a good ball hawk. They preyed on that a little bit. Pressure again. Rogers rolling right, and he'll throw it out of bounds and live to see another day. That was Deontay Craig, who hasn't had a first sack this year, but he created the pressure.
I think what Jedd Fisch is feeling on that sidelines is, okay, we're not handling these tackles. Obviously, McCree goes out. It's been on both sides. A sack fumble earlier. Right, they're just rushing forward. You asked earlier, is Phil Parker going to be exotic? No.
That's what I was waiting for you to say.
Yeah, not what he is. He's going to rush these 4 guys right here, and if those 4 can beat 5 consistently, you got a problem offensively.
Look at the line here. 3 on the left side. Wide splits. Here comes Llewellyn. Throw on a crosser. He's got it for Boston, and Boston launches himself right around the line to gain, and they will move the sticks.
Same concept, right? He is just going to come on that shallow cross all the way across the field. Man coverage, turns it over into some of the zone coverage on the other side. Harris picks him up. But one thing, I feel like I always learn something every one of these coaches' meetings. And I love that Jedd Fisch said yesterday, you know what, I don't like curl routes. I don't like routes that turn their back and come back to the line of scrimmage. I like catch and run plays. And a big key to why his teams at Arizona and his Husky team this year have so many explosive 10-plus yard plays, because they love to catch and run.
he likes progress, moving somewhere else. We go downstairs to Allison.
Well, Brock mentioned how Washington's tackles have struggled, and they are without Maximus McCree. You know, they don't have a ton of power for experience up front, and McCree at least gave them that. I mean, he played at Maryland, albeit a few years ago, but on that first drive of the game, he came off holding his right hand and wrist. He has a soft cast on that hand covering his thumb, and he is out for the game.
Allison, thank you for that. That's a big loss. He started the last 3.
He has. Solo, the left tackle, started the first couple. But yes, handling this front 4 going to be a big, big part of the second half.
Off the Washington timeout, Rodgers another short set, slant incomplete. TJ Hall in the coverage. There is a marker in. Intringer says, I like it anyway, but Hall, the Fresno native, looks like he interfered.
Personal foul.
Ooh.
Hands to the face. Defense number 2. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Yeah, so one of the challenges when you're giving up 3 or 4 inches, TJ a little bigger than Deshaun, who got beat earlier, but when you're trying to jam a bigger receiver, sometimes you get your hands right up to the face, and I think that's a good call.
Pretty clear.
They let him play, right? I mean, they have let these guys physically play, but I think both the personal foul we saw earlier, that one, usually not penalties for a team that averages only 20 penalty yards against. 2 big ones.
Yeah, 30 already today. From the 30, Washington and Rodgers senses the heat, keeps his feet again. How slithery is Will Rodgers today?
You don't have to be a 4-4 guy. It's like he's just a gimpy there, maybe in the lower ankle. You don't have to run real fast. It's that old Tom Brady. You got to be effective in that short area movement. Enough balance to run away from Graves. A nice 9-yard chunk on first down.
Timeout Iowa coming. All right, college football action continues all day here on Fox. Coming up next, Tetaroa, McMillan, T-Mac, and the Wildcats take on unbeaten BYU. The Big 12 is an absolute carnage factory right now. And then 8 Eastern, Iowa State still unbeaten. They'll take on West Virginia. Will that remain? It all continues next on Fox. Utah loses on the road at Arizona State last night. I don't know who's going to win the Big 12.
You been to Morgantown tonight?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a fun place.
Yep. Yeah, timeout there by Phil Parker's crew on the other side just to make sure they got their ducks in a row here. He knows how big this possession is too, right? That old NFL, you got a chance to double up. You get the ball, as the Huskies do here in the final minute. You'll get the ball to begin the second half. And you just feel 46 games of experience for Will Rodgers. He has been so poised throughout this first half.
Second and 1. Quick throw, Giles Jackson tunneling past the 20. That's Nick Jackson, the UVA transfer, along with Higgins again. First down.
And once again, this is just psychology-wise, where from a play-calling standpoint, you think you got 3 in your back pocket. That's just not been a safe bet the last couple weeks.
Rodgers, a quick pump, and his receiver fell. That is incomplete. It was tipped at the line, possibly. Giles Jackson hit the deck, so second down.
Yeah, I think the big old mid of Aaron Graves got up there and helping Jackson and Higgins on the other side. Just so appreciate, Jason, as I prep for these games and watch, and it doesn't matter the last name on the back of the jersey. You just kind of put a 90 on an Iowa D tackle. You know what you're going to get, right? Second level, you're going to get guys that can run. But this is an area of the red zone. They got the stop earlier. This is an area where they've not been very good at stopping touchdowns.
8 for 8 opponents coming in. They got a hand on him. That was Llewellyn coming around the corner. Rodgers throws to the sideline, incomplete for Jackson, who tried to keep his feet in for as long as he could. Third down.
Yeah, it was Llewellyn again on these tackles. As a party right here, the right tackle. Right, and when you let these guys just tee off and they get underneath your pads, there's Big Graves once again creating chaos in the middle. Will does the right thing, just can't quite find that connection.
Llewellyn's lived in the backfield.
Jed told us on these situations he doesn't mind getting it more to the right. If he could be a perfect play caller, making sure Gross doesn't have it on the left hash would be advantageous.
Just got that play off. Rodgers again rolling to the right one more time, and he's going to have to just launch it out of bounds. Jay Higgins applied the pressure, and Iowa holds the line. And now, do you feel comfortable kicking this field goal?
Well, you have to. You're not going to go for it on 4th and 10 and just, nowhere to go. Higgins and that defense rushing 4, 7 in coverage, only 3 out on the route. That is textbook Iowa defense to force the field goal.
Grady Gross was nails last year in a lot of ways. He won them the Apple Cup at the end of the regular season. He had one blocked here today. This officially from 34 to make it a 1-score game. He gets it in the air and on the way, and it is good. Ooh, he just snuck that through.
I don't think the Iowa defenders quite agreed with that one.
I don't think the crowd did either.
No.
Watch this. Oh.
The man with the best view is sitting right underneath that upright. Castro can't believe it.
It wasn't the quickest reaction by the two officials either. They both were like, did you got it? The Iowa fans here think it's no good, so the whole ball has to be inside the upright. Watch again. Is the whole ball inside the upright there? Ay, ay, ay. This, honestly...
is that exactly where it crosses?
This is one of those moments where you advocate for the tennis technology of in and out on the lines to have it go straight up from the goalpost.
It looks like there, right?
Yes.
And again, the best view in the house is not these people booing nor Castro. It is the official that is standing right underneath, his job is to look up and see a perspective that no other human in the building can.
But they only get one look at it, to be clear, right? Like, as that passes, you only get one look. Mike Pereira, as you watch, what do you see?
That's exactly why this is not reviewable, because you never get the angle that you need. You can't tell where the ball is precisely when it goes either over the top of it or inside. So if it's below the plane of the upright, you can actually review that. But if it's over the top, there's nothing that you can judge conclusively.
So Iowa is trying to challenge Mike. What do you say to that? They just stopped play.
And I know they're making comments about plays being reviewed, but this is not a reviewable play, period. So you cannot change that at all.
Well, this is going to be interesting.
Yes, it will.
Here's another look.
The toughest thing is just, to your point, the perspective of exactly when it's over the top. When does it cross over the top?
I'd advocate for taller goalposts, but then in situations where they come down, it's, the Nashville ends up being a crazier scene than it needs to be.
Well, I did watch warm-ups, and for as many as Grady has hooked this year, it was actually that kick in warm-ups. Three or four of them were pushed outside that right upright.
Let's listen to the call.
After reviewing the play, the ball went over the upright, which makes it technically unreviewable. Therefore, the field goal is good.
Yeah.
Iowa's charged their timeout, but retains their challenge for the remainder of the game.
Now, the people in black and gold are saying, quick note, you did review it.
Yes.
So,
but Mikey Rulebooks is saying, don't you ever challenge me.
That's right.
Because I know once it's above the upright, it's not reviewable.
That's exactly right, and that's exactly what happened, but they had to stop and look if, in fact, it was above the upright. And it was. But again, I think we can talk about it in baseball, too. The technology we have in other sports, we should really think about using.
We can.
Foul poles and goalposts.
And I think Mike Pereira was right on the earlier fumble. This replay is not a I think business.
Yeah.
Because I think that was outside the upright. Doesn't matter. It's not reviewable anyway.
Well, that was thorny, huh? Weegan has been a really important part of this game. We'll see if he has one more Return in him. Flag in. Midwest Nice has gone out the window.
Yeah, they don't like it.
During the return, holding, return team number 48. 10-yard penalty at the end of the run. First down, Iowa.
So just to be clear, to clean all that up, Jason, they did go to review, they needed to make sure, right, that the ball was up over the upright where there is no review.
They reviewed whether or not it was reviewable.
There we go.
It's like the rules check in baseball.
And once again, in a game like this, for Kirk Ferentz and Jed Fish, every play and every detail matters.
This is perfect to spark a rivalry, though, isn't it? Iowa-Washington together for the first time since the 90s. We'll always have that field goal at the end of the first half. Oh, Caleb Johnson breaks free! Johnson switches back, my goodness, again! 2 filthy cuts! Wow.
Well, once again, just watch these men do their job. Look at them work in concert. Get to the second level. Lachey, an unbelievable block up there at the third level. And then to your point, the big man got some moves.
His first play in first grade was a 70-yard touchdown run that he remembers vividly. And that, to the point earlier that people said he wasn't fast enough to play running back, those moves were impressive. Now Iowa uses a timeout. They're out of timeouts. How do you call this?
You got to be very careful here, and you've got to trust Cade McNamara that he can get the ball out of his hands. It's got to go beyond the sticks to the boundary.
Little did we know, Brock, that challenge that cost him a timeout would affect their next drive. 13 seconds. McNamara takes his time, whips it down the sideline, incomplete for Vanderzee. He had Vanderzee down the sideline, and he missed.
Yeah, and you can hear the grumbling in the crowd because you get exactly what you want. You get a 2-on-1 on the safety zone coverage here, and you see the speed and quickness of the 6'4" true freshman. You just got to keep that ball in play. Those are the ones that Cade cannot miss.
Can you run another play here? The offense is still on the field.
Now, Tim Lester knows that he dialed that one up correctly. This is danger zone here. As far as the amount of time you have, Jason.
Can't get tackled in play, that's for sure. It's going to be a timeout, Washington. So what's on the menu here for? It's got to be another sideline route, right?
It does, yeah. And I think for Steve Belichick, you're trying, right, to keep everything underneath 10 yards and in front of you to run that timeout, but you can't allow that. Right? It's almost as if this defense on these two plays has said, well, it's Iowa. They're not explosive. Can't play it that way. You've got to be on point, on detail. And I think on the other side, Kirk very clearly reinforcing, understand 7 seconds. This ball's got to get out. It's got to get to the boundary or beyond the sticks, period.
I wonder what Steve Belichick dials up here defensively. The long this year for Stevens is 46. This would be a 45-yarder right now.
Could have that same shot to the boundary again.
That's incomplete. Vanderzee broke it off, and it'll be third down. The crowd doesn't like it.
That's all you could do.
Yeah, 7 seconds. They burned 6 on the previous play.
Yeah, it was the play before I think they were still upset with, because they know if you can add that component to this team, little number one knows it. If we can add some explosive pass play to everything else you got, it'll be a special season again in Iowa City.
Drew Stevens to match the Gross field goal. This is close and good. I mean, Phil Parker loves angles. This is something.
Jason, was a whole ball inside the upright?
I'm going to think so. Look at this. Look how close that is.
That looks no different than the other one.
Aren't these two teams a perfect match?
That face says, I think I would have liked it a little more to the left, but I'll take it.
It was over the upright, so it counts.
Halftime reception of the year for Boston, and they will get the ball to begin the second half to try to get back to that rhythm.
In a crucial early drive of this second half, they just don't know how many times they're going to see the ball against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Washington off the touchback. We'll have it downstairs, Allison.
Well, guys, Iowa is the least penalized team in the country. So the first thing Kirk Ferentz said to me when I talked to him at the half was we have to get those 3 penalties cleaned up. Overall, though, offensively, he said we found a good rhythm. We were patient, and of course, a lot of that came because of the way Caleb Johnson is running the ball. He said over on defense, they need to be better tackling. If they do that, they can put Washington in situations where they have to pass the ball, and he feels his team is winning up front. As for Jedd Fisch and how he calls this game with how his kicking game has struggled, and Grady Gross, he said, look, the blocked field goal wasn't on him. He made the other one. I'm still going to kick on 4th and 10.
They might need it too, as Coleman goes straight ahead and just barrels through all the way to the 39-yard line. Entringer the stop, but Washington 2 14-play drives, and then it kind of slowed down from there.
He had a sack fumble. I thought the edges of Iowa's defense, Graves in the middle was awesome, but you saw the edges with Craig and Herkett just unable to block those tackles. So be curious about the adjustments here. We talked in the open about an NFL scheme, NFL coordinators, right? The name of the game at the next level is to make adjustments. Got to protect your tackles and get back to a little bit of business of running the football as they did on that first down run.
There's Davis. So what kind of adjustments can you make against such a staunch, solid, know what you are defense like Iowa?
Well, you saw a little duo, a little double team on those D tackles on the first run. I think in the passing game, maybe try to get outside of those edges, right? You can chip, you can move and slide the line a little bit. You can screen and draw. There's always options and opportunities. But those guys up front just got to do what they did against Michigan a week ago, and that time sometimes be a human shield. Just get a body in front of those defenders.
Clean pocket this time. He just flicks it right over the middle. Giles Jackson again has been a safety valve and a crosser, and it's a first down.
Yeah, nice little option route. I love this route. He is really nifty and good at this. You see him here, and then he's going to break away. They pick up the stunt inside. Give Will a free little pocket, and then Giles Jackson on any linebacker in America is advantage number 5.
He's already doubled his output catch total-wise that he had against Michigan last week after 10 in the opener against Weber State. Here he is again. Jackson gets labeled. T.J. Hall went high. Entringer was down there as well.
Just right through the block. You mentioned this. Watch him go right through the block of Denzel Boston. Hello. And then a Hawkeye sandwich. They like them out here.
It's not really a pork loin sandwich. They like more. That throw is over the middle. That's right there. Boston again down the middle of the field to the 24-yard line.
Well, they don't do this much again, so when they do, it's highly effective. A 5-man pressure here gets right into the lap of Will Rogers. You can see it. He gets hit upon release, but that quick release gets the ball out.
He's done that all year. Quick release this time, a little more time. He leads the Big Ten in passes thrown within 2.5 seconds of the snap coming into this game, and it served him well this afternoon.
Yeah, and I think that's where he said, I know I wanted to come here and originally play for Kalen DeBoer, and when it was Jedd Fisch, I wanted to take my game to the pro level. I wanted all the years of air raid in Mississippi, all the years of air raid with Mississippi State, and take it. And he said, you know what, there's actually a lot of crossover. People think it's been harder. It hasn't. Knowing how to throw it on time, knowing how to throw in the space, that crosses over most systems, Jason.
They'll run this time, and he was going laterally. Davis, it'll be third down. I mean, we've seen it in the NFL now with Cliff Kingsbury having great success with Jaden Daniels, something that Rogers cited to us.
And we just saw Deontay Craig toss Latu, the tight end, to create now a 3rd and 9. It is exactly the way these fans in black and gold stripes love to get hyped for.
Here they come. enough to get to the 14. Rogers intercepted. Picked off by Harris. Jamari Harris to the 46.
Well, the best coverage guy on this team, there is no question about it. You're going to see Jamari Harris. He's going to be locked inside on Denzel Boston. He plays it perfectly. What's the down and distance? 3rd and 9. What routes am I going to see? More than likely an outbreaking, because this team doesn't like little hook routes and stick routes. The veteran with all that loads of 6 years of experience takes it away from the Huskies yet again and sets these Hawkeyes up in prime position.
Welcome back to Big Noon Saturday, sponsored by AT&T Business. Reliability for your business is our business. Beautiful day here in Iowa City. Off the turnover, it's a toss for Caleb Johnson. He breaks one tackle and gets near the line of scrimmage. Deshaun Lynch was in there first, Tuna Uthi as well. Will Rogers not happy.
Well, he knows it, right? The sack fumble led to the field goal. That time, a drive, you're in position for points. And when you play this style of game, been preached all week long, the premium of the ball, the level of patience between those two guys that spent more time talking this week than maybe they have all season long, knowing they had to be on the same page, and that's just a killer in the red zone.
Well, that situation came about, though, because of lack of production on 1st and 2nd down, did it not?
It did.
McNamara moves his feet very quickly and then throws incomplete for Lachey. 3rd down and 10. He felt pressure before it was even there, it looked like that time.
A little bit, and you see the difference of movement. You said quick feet. I'd say Will's shown some quick feet. I'd say that was a little more laborsome to try and get away.
I said he moved them quickly,
gotcha.
Like right off the snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he did. He had a little bit of pressure, but this passing game continues to be challenged. They did a great job earlier to get Caleb Johnson out into a route. Let's see if they can create that matchup once again out of the backfield.
Iowa just 2 for 5 on 3rd down. Only 5 chances today. Nice pickup and a rush right down the middle. Seth Anderson gets planted in the ground by Thaddeus Dixon, and the markers coming in. They played to the whistle. Anderson will flee the scene. It's a gain of 28 and 15 or half the distance coming.
Well, you were spot on about Caleb Johnson in that blitz pickup right there. Tried to bring Fabiculanen on the pressure. Maybe he was going to cover him if he went out in the route, as you see Dixon with just a no-no at the end of it. And there has been no Seth Anderson.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 9. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the run. Automatic 1st down.
A welcome sight to see Seth Anderson, but look at big boy, not just as a runner, but watch him here come right to the face of that blitz at Fabiculanen, pick him up, drive him out of the way, and by far the best pitch and catch when they needed it the most on 3rd down. For the first time, Seth Anderson dealt with hamstrings all training camp. Haven't seen him this season. We saw a lot of them right there.
Not only did Johnson pick up the rusher, he got him out of the passing window as well, right?
Just drove him right out, cleaned up the whole pocket.
Anderson had the first passing touchdown last year for the Hawkeyes, but as you said, injuries have really caused him a problem. Johnson hesitation. Now he hits the hole and batters his way inside the 5.
This was the exact same play on the touchdown run. It's just inside zone. It's textbook. And just watch guard to guard. That just tells the story. You got 3 different Husky bodies in there, but they are just displaced, moved off that line of scrimmage. And give Caleb Johnson that opportunity to get 225 pounds barreling at you. Good things happen.
Brendan Sullivan back in at quarterback. Call it 2nd and 1. Straight ahead one more time. Caleb Johnson has lived in the end zone. He's going to have to settle for 1st and goal this time.
You know what I love about that call from Tim Lester?
What's that?
Go right back to it. Same exact call, just inside split zone. That's who we are. That's what we do. Right? He has talked about these practices here at Iowa being a little different than anything he's ever experienced in his life. I mean, it is ferocious. It is hitting just about on a daily basis, but they keep guys healthy. They build that DNA. They develop toughness. And this is what they're built for, situations like this.
On 1st and goal. One more time. Johnson leaning and no gain. 2nd and goal.
Nice play by Lynch right there. He actually tossed the defender, got to the legs, and finally killed the engine. Right, you're going to see him right here, 290-pound transfer out of Sacramento State. Sheds his block so he can get to those legs and kill the motor, right? Take those legs away so they stop churning. Well done.
Cade Pieper just checked in as an extra offensive lineman for Iowa here. They'll go big and they'll go gun. 3 to snap it. Oh, he didn't get it off. Sullivan a little bit late on the snap.
Well, Ferentz saw it.
Did he call a timeout? Yeah, they'll give him the timeout. The marker came in.
Before the delay of game, Iowa called their first charge timeout of the half. It will be 30 seconds in length.
That's an enormous
This will be a
find
full
by
media
Kirk
timeout.
Ferentz.
He's seen a bit of ball.
26 years worth here at Iowa. Big Noon Saturday, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more. Maybe even trains. It's the Rock Island line that Johnny Cash sang about. Normally on this show, I end up under the bus, but this time it's under the train. It's a nice twist. Caleb Johnson has been a locomotive today, you could argue.
Yeah, and he's getting his touches, right? You just continue to feed that beast. Jonah's been effective, over 6 yards a carry, just not as much time on the field. And Caleb and these Hawkeyes starting to impose their will.
Their will right now is the end zone. Sullivan, the quarterback. Right back to him, and he is met and driven back. Johnson driven back by Valdez. Bruner was in there as well. Man, oh man, what a play.
That is a great play. We showed Valdez earlier getting lifted off his feet. He's to the left. Here's Bruner, eyes all over it, watching that double team. But Valdez holds his point, and then he too. And maybe a little conversation about getting to the legs and not letting Johnson get started.
Is this 2 plays to get 1 yard here?
I would think so.
Tight formation. Oh, ball's on the ground, and he tried to get it off. Is this a lateral? Let's see. It's a live ball for now. Bruner is on it for Washington. Couple options here. He could be down. It could be a forward pass as well.
It sure felt like in real time, Jason, that he was down.
It was recovered by the defense. First down, Washington.
But the right job on the field to let it play out. Right, you got to let that thing play out and then let replay do their job. Lynch, Johnny on the spot. Is the knee down? Yeah, it's down.
Yeah, he's going to be down right there.
Yep. So they'll salvage the field goal opportunity, but what a stand from the boys in purple.
So through the point-to-point, they're just going to go ahead and say that the knee was down. They're going to reverse the call here.
First time they've not scored with Sullivan in the red zone.
Yeah.
One of the first times that those runs have been stonewalled, back-to-back snaps. Gives some credit to Lynch and Valdez and the big boys up front, and then that whole thing was just discombobulated. The timing of that snap, everything was just off. And that's got to feel like a win to Washington. And 12 inches away from pay dirt to not find home, rare for the Hawkeyes.
And keep it a 2-score game. Stevens in 25. And that is as good of a field goal as we've seen all afternoon. Easier one for everybody on the field. 23-10, but Washington hangs around. It's a mighty good road, the Rock Island line. Time now for Celebrating Fansville, sponsored by Dr. Pepper College Football. It's a pepper thing. Lucha Libre wrestler. The Pharaoh is here. Elvis Presley is here. I mean, is there any more wide array of fans and celebrities than the fans here today? And they're loving it because when the Hawkeyes get to 21, they haven't lost since 2020. Reynolds on the return. And he gets to the outside. Reynolds ends up down at the 28. Stevens, the kicker, spiked it.
Which is 6 yards ahead of their average for today, and that's been part of the story. Right, the miscues, the blocked field goal, the fumble, the interception. It's led to Iowa starting their drives, Jason, today at the 43. And the Huskies just at their own 22. Long fields against this defense, sure, you may be able to move it, but Will Rogers would tell you to finish those drives difficult.
What do you like if you're calling plays here, Jed Fish?
Well, again, stay on schedule. When they have done that, the ball moves. I think you've also got to see a little Damon Williams. You've got to see his X factor with his speed at some point on this drive.
Rogers felt the heat, got it away. It's a short gain. Higgins with the stop of Jonah Coleman.
I mean, you just draw back, and every time you're looking at 7 black jerseys.
Jay Higgins, right? He's the leader of this defense in so many ways. He says it's cool to be the Mike linebacker here at Iowa, and so much on his plate.
Just a position of leadership, man. The capstone in so many ways. He following the footsteps of Jewell and Campbell. And he is having some kind of season. Top 10 in the country once again in tackles.
Williams is in on 2nd and 6. And they'll run it. It's Coleman pinballing off a tackler and seeking contact. He became a Scud missile in Iowa territory.
What a terrific job right in the middle, right here. Titi Ali'i getting out in front in that block right there and then running through the tackle. I mean, that is a thankless job. And oh, by the way, for Schulte, he finally stopped the momentum after a 31-yard run, the longest run allowed. Had not allowed a 25-plus yard run, the Hawkeyes, all season long until that one.
Williams back in at quarterback, staying in for this play on a handoff for Davis.
And what that does for Williams is it presents not just a different picture, Jason, a different responsibility for those edge guys. Right, they know he can hand it to Davis or Coleman or Muhammad, but for Craig and these linebackers, they also know if this kid does not hand it off, holy smokes, Damon Williams gets to that edge in a hurry.
We saw it with Jamari Harris earlier, right? Trying to set that edge. Second and 7. Throw for Williams. He snaps it off near side, and too much for Jackson. He was fighting with Harris. It's 3rd down coming up.
When he had him, that was a little bit like McNamara's go route earlier. You're going to see Jackson get on top of Harris, get behind him right here. And the throw, unfortunately, he's beaten. He's even. He gets away with a little pull. But that ball, kind of like McNamara's on the other side, you've got to keep it from drifting out of bounds. Four down territory.
Got to be, right?
You have to, and you have to approach it that way here as well.
So this is a 3rd down play to set up 4th down, if you have to. Rogers back in. Rogers has it collapse. He goes down. That was Llewellyn and Hurkett meeting in the backfield.
That was the chop spin that has become so popular in Iowa, Llewellyn. And look at Rogers' jersey. Watch this right here. This is the move. They all have fun with it during the summer and training camp. There's the chop, there's the spin right to the legs of Rogers. And Llewellyn now 3 sacks on the season.
And now you're going for it, and it's a long way away.
And you better protect these edges.
Llewellyn and Hurkett, the fire-breathing dragons on the edge, and they're going to have to burn a timeout, and that is so big because Iowa runs out the clock with the best of them. 3 guarantees you a possession late, only with 2 it changes the calculus. Big Noon Saturday, sponsored by Bounty, the quicker picker upper. Was I on the downbeat there?
Mm-hmm.
4th down coming up for Washington. Don't know if you can call it a must-have, but it's pretty close. Is Rodgers okay as well? He's limping a little bit during the timeout.
This crowd just took it to another level.
Fourth and 11. Rodgers loads it up, sideline. This is eventually, let's see, caught. Jeremiah Hunter on the sideline pulled it in. The officials are still talking.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Incomplete now. They just changed the call. It is incomplete, and Iowa, barring review, will take over.
I mean, that is an unbelievable effort from the big receiver. But it is just thrown so late. The contact there initially by Hall, and that right foot and that toe is going to be out of bounds. I mean, what concentration in the air. You could clearly see that right foot is, that wasn't even a toe. The left toe he was able to get down, but that right foot clearly out of bounds.
TJ Hall closed very well, the former high school wide receiver, and now Iowa has a chance to deflate the football here.
Yes. Yeah, watch those middle 3 guys when they've been getting going. Stevens and Colby and Jones, that trench there right by the ball. And as they've done all day, Jed and the QB trying to catch up at that. 4th and 9, difficult.
First down here. Caleb Johnson averaging 8 yards a run this year. That's a whole lot more this time. Off the block from Gill. He tiptoes across the 40. That's 23 more for Caleb Johnson.
Once again, it is just the movement of these 3 guys. It's very simple. You know what's coming at you. It's going to be that split zone and then the cutback for Johnson and that vision. And I know you love it and I love it, watching these backs at 225 pounds that don't stop on that cut.
Yeah.
Right, typically big body guys got to slow down and restart. Not him.
Jazian Patterson on the run, and he is drilled. Why do you think gymnastics didn't work out at age 11 for Caleb Johnson?
Yeah, probably the same reason they didn't for Macy, because you get too big and it's a little too hard. You know, you get to over 6 foot. Gymnastics, Allison, not so good.
Yeah, but you know what? It helps guys. It helps with the flexibility, the body control, and that was at the suggestion of the guy that was really the father figure in his life, Jeff Strader. He was his late maternal grandmother's father, and he really guided him throughout his youth. He was the one that took him away from football for a bit when he needed to get his academics right, and it was his suggestion to try gymnastics. Declined the ballet, but did do the gymnastics.
Yeah, he tried gymnastics. He says he can't still do a backflip. But I'll tell you what, Allison, to your point, he's worked on the flexibility of his hips, Caleb Johnson. He's out of the game right now, come back in, but you can see that work, can't you?
Yeah, you just don't want to be a big body that absorbs all the contact. He loves Derrick Henry, as all the big backs and the young big backs do. But you've got to be able not only to lean, but to dip and to move.
He also said Eric Dickerson and Eddie George in the Wayback Machine.
A throwback.
Third and 4. Would Iowa go for it on 4th down is the question lingering. McNamara, short set, got a first down. It's Reese Vanderzee, the freshman.
Same exact concept they ran earlier, just that mesh concept. You see this from everybody. He's just going to come across the field. You've got another shallow cross, and then you've got the whole defender or the 12-yard hook right over the ball. Good protection. Doesn't even need the laces and puts it right between the 1 and the 5.
Seven completions today, 167 yards on the ground for Iowa. So they return there with Caleb Johnson.
I think there's 20 human beings. I think there were like 3 guys outside of it. Everybody else is just one big Iowa City mosh pit.
But it could be Fred Russell, it could be Cedric Shaw, it could be Tavian Banks, it could be any number of guys who've played that position.
This methodology has been pretty good for a long time.
Patterson back in, 27 runs for Iowa. Got to snap it. Wow. They'll give him the timeout again.
Before the delay of game, charge timeout Iowa, their second of the half. It will be 30 seconds in length.
Tell you what, nobody's going to beat us in near missed field goals and late play clock timeouts in college football all
Not
day.
today.
I promise you, nobody's getting there. Time now for our Aflac trivia question. Get help with expenses that health insurance doesn't cover. Which Big Ten team has to travel the most miles this year? And it feels like that's going to be a major story with Allison's report earlier, 1 and 8, 2 time zone trips in this new Big Ten.
Have you felt that this morning? Because I thought the Husky energy level has been fine. It has been the precision and detail. I mean, that stand at the goal line, right? The effort they played with at the line of scrimmage, those are the things that I look for. I remember making those trips, right, with the Seahawks, and it was brutal, and it was hard on your body clock, and Jed did everything he could this week to mix it up and to learn from the Rutgers trip. But to me, I always gauge it by the big people. How hard are the big people playing? You know, they're the ones that it's sometimes hard to crank up to 100. I've not seen an energy or effort issue at all with the Huskies today. Execution, different story.
2nd and 7. It's a toss moving forward. Caleb Johnson running into more Huskies and throwing his body for a first down. Tuputala caught the brunt that time, gain of 11.
Well, they call this tight end U, at least a lot of the former tight ends that went to school here, and just watch these guys on the outside. Lachey as well next to him, just doing their job. Saw Dallas Clark on the sidelines before the game. He's like, yeah, we did that 20 years ago. Yep, we did it 10 years ago. Yep, we just keep on doing it. We keep driving off the ball. Right, we keep moving people to just change that line of scrimmage.
Patterson back in. Straight ahead. A little mini cut. 2nd down coming up. Glad you got to reunite with your old pal.
Pretty fun.
Dallas Clark.
Great dude, just like so many that Kirk has coached over the years here. Great football players, quality human beings. They know sacrifice. And you know what else they know? A little bit of toughness here and how to finish games.
10 straight winning seasons. Iowa trying to hurt a Washington team that just beat Michigan.
Coach Fish, your defense came up with a big goal line stand last time down here. What do they need to do again to keep them out of the end zone?
Yeah, we got to keep them to a field goal here to keep it as a 2-score game, make it 26-10, and then we got to be able to convert when we get down there.
As a play caller, what are some things you can do to help out your offense with some of the troubles they're having in protection?
Well, we're trying about everything of chipping and moving the pocket, and we'll continue to try to do that, but on 4th and 11 or 3rd and 8, there's not many options there.
Thanks, Coach.
Problem might be, will they see the ball again? Iowa's had it for 8.5 minutes so far in that 3rd quarter, and they're closing the time of possession gap.
And keeping McNamara in here inside the 10-yard line.
Caleb Johnson again. Behind the block for Miller and bowling in. Caleb Johnson Day has broken out at Kinnick Stadium.
Just vision personified. So much comfort in this system. Watch the run, watch the center here. Logan Jones get to the 2nd level and right there, just the vision. Could he go right at 21? Sure, but can he cut it back with just a violence and a speed to find pay dirt? Time on task over and over and over again. Running these plays, knowing these plays.
They're without Ostrenga. They're without Hayden Large. So Eli Miller you know, the second, eighth, fourth, whatever H-back you want to say comes in.
Yep.
Time on task.
Yep. And I come back and I cut off the edge, and the edge falls off. Then I'm going to go to the second level right there to Bruner and get a hat on a hat. Quite honestly, I mean, a lot of places, Jason, and just in different systems, right? You run a West Coast system, precision passing. You run the air raid, you throw it a million times. Here, Cade McNamara knew it when he transferred here. Here, you run the ball and play defense. And they spend as much time in the off season and in the spring and through camp repping zone, inside zone, outside zone, inside zone, outside zone. There's a timing to it. There's a precision to it. And when it gets going, they make it look easy.
Would it surprise you if I told you that Eli Miller was a wrestler in high school?
No.
Here's the thing about college football is you see Caleb Johnson with a third touchdown. He's done it twice this year. First guy at the running back position for Iowa in 12 years. What makes college football so beautiful is that Washington ends up beating Michigan last week with its own style, the NFL style, which very much worked last week. But then you go into an entirely different arena in terms of strategy and location, and then suddenly everything is just different and the pressure is different.
Yeah, and then you've got to deal, you know, with just the size and the strength. Right, that run game kind of setting the table for everything. A beautiful job here of clearing it all out. Tim Lester, nice little NFL scheme there. And getting Caleb out into the flat, and there's a little toss stretch running right at you, through you, around you. And it kind of becomes target practice for those guys up front. When they know they can move people and that guy behind them's running full speed, it's fun.
There's that pump and throw again. That's batted at the line. He lost the ball, actually. Was that even tipped, or did he just lose the football? Yeah, that's a fumble.
Yeah, that's big old gravedigger, Aaron Graves, I believe. Getting to that arm before it goes forward. That's absolutely a fumble. And this is just straight danger zone because you're letting Graves and Herkett and Craig and Allen and Llewellyn just start to tee off.
Here they come. Down he goes, Brian Allen, that time. Back-to-back losses, 9 and 5.
Yeah, and you could see it in the feet of Will Rogers. Allen's going to come from outside here, a matchup that's been a challenge. To Jed Fish's point, you're trying to chip and help, right? The back's got his eyes up, does not help too much. And then Will Rogers he's feeling 70+ thousand. He's hurt him. And then he's just felt this front four all afternoon long.
Losing McCree hasn't helped.
Nope.
We've got to get to the 34. Rogers up in the pocket. He delivers a strike. And that's going to set up a 4th down and short. Rashid Williams, the freshman, getting more run today. It's a gain of 20.
And how does Schulte just get up from that collision? Great catch by Williams with traffic. But seriously, Castro and Schulte run right into each other, no problem. Dusts himself up because they do a lot of that kind of contact. Big play, though, from the youngster Williams.
4th and 4. Really, the game on the line and hope on the line for Washington here. Rogers, a dart behind the stick. Latu never got to the line to gain. Zach Lutmer, the freshman, along with Castro, got the stop.
Wow. Can we out-execute them? That was conversation all week in Montlake. Can our details be better than theirs? Because they're going to be on point. If you run that 4th down short of the sticks and you give them an opportunity to bring you down and corral you, these Hawkeyes have been doing it for decades.
Big Noon Saturday, sponsored by Pacific Life. Creating financial security for nearly 160 years. Mentioned off the top, it felt like a Rose Bowl here today, in part because Iowa and Washington have done that before. 46-34, Mark Brunell and Don James got a victory in 91. 82 as well. This isn't Pasadena, though.
No, it's not, but the bright blue sky, the sunshine, is a perfect day for ball. And Iowa and Kirk Ferentz, one of the more impressive outings this season of just imposing their will. They did it to Illinois State and to Troy. Different story today.
McNamara, play action. He'll snap off a throw down the middle. Howard, the freshman. How about that for a first romp into the end zone? Marker came in after the play, but the redshirt freshman from Kansas City scores.
The play is a touchdown. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense number 6 for spiking the football. That 15-yard penalty being enforced on the kickoff, and that is number 6's first unsportsmanlike conduct foul of the game.
Well, just watch these Huskies at the second level. Your veterans there, Chipatala, Bruner, what do you have to do? They got to come up and play the run. Right, you're going to have to play that run game. You bite up on that run. And I'm just telling you, Jason, they do that. They hit a play action pass on the run and on time for explosive plays. The next 6 teams, I don't know who beats them.
Yeah. No, it's a favorable schedule. It really is. And Dayton Howard has a moment of his career so far in Iowa City.
First catch of his life.
Ever in college football.
Dude has done some dirty work. He's come in and blocked safeties. He's come in and been physical. Nearly tipped at the line of scrimmage. Instead, hey, young man, enjoy college football and enjoy your first touchdown as a Hawkeye.
All right, let's run that again.
Geico has fast, fair claims 24.
Welcome back to Big Noon Saturday, sponsored by AT&T Business. Reliability for your business is our business. King's still here, and Iowa has a big-time lead.
He's like, is this some kind of show right here? 37 points.
Offense has been a hunka burning love.
Explosive. I mean, they've been explosive run and pass, which has just not been the combination, certainly for a number of years, and why you've not seen many 37-point games in conference.
Reynolds on the return. Ooh. And he darts outside. Reynolds, a big return here. There's a marker in. See Daniel Ngata over there, who was trying to fire up the team during one of the timeouts recently.
During the return, holding. Return team number 22. That 10-yard penalty being forced from the spot of the foul. First down, Washington.
You know, I know a bunch of the Hawkeye fans kind of scoffed at Tim Lester and Kirk Ferentz saying it's coming, this offense is coming. But Tim Lester said, best week we've had by far since I've been here, of just understanding anticipation and timing. And watch when Cade McNamara throws this ball. He's going to throw Dayton Howard open, right? He's going to put it in that window. You go get it and catch and run. Catching and running is where the explosive plays happen.
Williams in. Davis, the tailback, and he gets crunched by Wampa. These are not just tackles. These are loud tackles.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking for the gold on black crime on those helmets eventually, right? As the paint just starts spilling like they used to do in those Rose Bowls back in the day, because there's just some kind of hitting, man. It's what they do. I mean, they're callous to do it. Moving Monday, tackling Tuesday, whack 'em Wednesday. You know what you're going to get every single week.
2nd and 6. Williams still in at quarterback. That's tipped at the line and incomplete.
And here's a PSA for a guy that never hit anybody.
Yeah.
Like, far be it from me, but when I watch the next level, Jason, I see them no longer hitting. Great job here, timing, getting the hand up.
It's Pittman.
Right, and you see so many injuries and so many guys out. I'm looking at Iowa. They've not lost anybody this year. I mean, you kind of callous and toughen yourself up with all of that hard hitting in practice. They got all their personnel firing.
3rd and 6 for this defense. They'll bring some heat. Higgins coming around the corner. Williams throws. That's going to be short of the sticks no matter what. Denzel Boston the target, and 4th down coming up.
And this should just be Damon the rest of the way.
No Rodgers.
Yeah, I think you're just going to give your true freshman, originally committed to Jed at Arizona, guy was electric in high school. You're just going to give him this quarter of experience.
He was in the state semifinals last year.
Yep.
You know, we're talking 10 months since then or so.
He was there for the spring. He enrolled super competitive in the spring, and Will distanced himself in the fall. But these are the experiences, and Will knows it. He's got a couple more months here. This kid's got hopefully years ahead.
They'll run it around the edge, and Iowa gets there. Davis goes down. John Nestor that time. The sophomore from Chicago takes care of it.
So now you're talking about depth, and we saw it on the previous fourth down with Intriger, right? I mean, this is some of your depth players, and he just ducks right underneath as a party. What a play. Hard on them big tackles to get out in space. Could not get a body on a body at all, and Jed knows it. Like, man, that play was there. If we can seal that edge, the shake of the head, like, nope. They're just better than us today.
You think of the tackles Washington lost, Fautanu and Rosengarten, and what you have to replace. It's very difficult. You see what Iowa does with a cohesive offensive line. There are going to be peaks and valleys, right? With an offensive line that's full of newcomers.
No question.
Terrell Washington Jr. on the run. Time now for the answer to our Aflac trivia question as something has broken out on the bottom side of that play.
Don't worry about it.
We asked you which Big Ten Big Ten team has to travel the most miles this season. You would have thought, because Washington's involved in our game, that we would have just done it because it's Washington. Well, guess what? We pulled one over on you. It's UCLA, 24,901 miles.
Yeah, that trip to Hawaii didn't help to start the year, so that kind of added to some long journeys for these West Coast teams.
But we will see over the course of time how coaches play it. Do you stay after a game like Washington did at Rutgers? Do you go back home immediately? Do you come a day early? And Allison reported it, like they've been on Central Time since Thursday. And that's not the only culprit here today. Iowa has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
But we are seeing a pattern, at least, Brock.
Yeah, sure.
The travel
1-8 is 1-8.
Yeah,
yes.
That's right. That's all.
And you know what you saw in the 80s and 90s and 2000? A lot of that, too, with the West Coast NFL teams, Jason.
Yep.
The number was pretty staggering as, once again, Jed's trying to look at that film. It's not changing. It's not a pretty picture. But, yeah, experience will be one of the best things for these West Coast teams over the course of the season to improve upon.
McNamara throws, it's juggled and incomplete. Off the hand of Cameron Broussard, the senior out of Folsom, California.
Nice job there by Shaw to be all over that little slant route, and Broussard nearly finished it. But instead, we'll get to see a 50-yarder. Actually, 51. Isn't that what Stevens missed a week ago?
It is.
Watch the upright.
Stevens on the way, and it is through.
With ease.
All Hawkeyes, second half, 40-10. The flip book you didn't know you needed, but you did. It's Kirk Ferentz through the years. Watch him morph. He's on his way to his 200th win as a member of the Big Ten with the Iowa Hawkeyes here. That's Amos Alonzo-Stagg, formerly of the Big Ten, the University of Chicago Maroons, and the great Woody Hayes.
You know what he was in 9 months into the job? You know where he was at here, like Jed Fish is 9 months into this Husky job?
Tell the folks.
1-10.
Yeah.
1-10 in that first year, but they stood by him. They stuck by him. They knew, like, man, the standard is going to be pretty good. And the method's pretty solid, too. And if you can run the ball and you can play defense, which he's done, really, for the 25 years after that first rough one, or 24 after the first two, is just like this. Rush 4, impact and harass the quarterback, and pressure them into mistakes, right? You just mess with that clock. When 4 beat 5, the most basic math equation there is, Benetti, when those 4 beat 5, it becomes brutally hard to play consistent offense. And they have done it for decades.
How did they only get 15 turnovers in 14 games last year? Williams on the roll, and it's the tight end once again, and Turning upfield is Latu. You mentioned Washington's schedule. Iowa's schedule is pretty favorable.
Oh, Washington.
The road ahead.
Brutal.
Yeah. Second and 1. It's a run for Davis. Harrell and Wampa there. Iowa's schedule at Michigan State, 2 home games, couple of road games with an open date, and Iowa-Nebraska could be enormous.
Yes, it could.
Because there are no more divisions here in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and I think fair to say that you play this game that you have played today, offense, defense, special teams, I don't think any of those teams can beat them. They play to their ceiling, which they've done today. I mean, this is the best they have looked by far. I know they shut out Illinois State in the opener and put some points against Troy and ran for over 200 at Minnesota, which was a great win. But this is all 3 phases. And finally, a dynamic passing game and some spurts for Kirk Ferentz that matches the dominant run and the suffocating defense.
There's some folks, I think, Brock, that would say 8 completions. How's that a dynamic pass game? What would you say to that?
Because when you took them, you hit them.
Yeah. This throw is right there for Audric Harris, his first catch.
I believe 2 touchdown passes for Mr. McNamara.
He does have 2
And when
touchdown
was the last
passes.
time he had a Power 4 opponent touchdown pass?
It was 2021 against the Hawkeyes with Michigan.
That's what I would say back to those on Reddit that may be asking right now.
You read that?
No.
Williams on the throw. He goes to the far side again, and he's got the tight end, DeGraff, who got lit up. Wampa is fired up.
Was that Tackle Tuesday, or I think that was probably just watch it.
That was
Probably
See Ya Saturday.
That was Whack 'em Wednesday. Those are just body blows that wear down an opponent.
And Gata on the run, and he's got the first down. He gets wrangled by Intringer.
You know, I got the great pleasure for a lot of years of watching the Legion of Boom and Pete Carroll's just dynamite defense, right? And they were zone defense as well, largely. They did it differently, single high, cover 3, man. Iowa does it with these 2 safeties, but it's the same concept. It's like, okay, you're going to get some completions, but here comes some collisions.
Williams, deep ball, too much.
And then we don't give you anything over the top. And that's where there's a shared belief from Phil Parker to Pete Carroll to so many of the great D coordinators over the years. Like, make you earn it, and then if you're going to catch it, we're going to whack you. And do you have the perseverance and the sustainability over 4 quarters?
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
And you know what? If you have unbelievable athletes like Ohio State, you can run away from them. That game still was 7-0 a week ago.
Yep.
And they don't turn it over 3 times, and they're a little better in the passing game. It would have been a 4-quarter battle.
Movement on the right side of the line, it looked like. You think about the continuity here at Iowa, right? And I know Iowa fans would love to have 12 wins, and it's been winning seasons, but it's been short of the college football playoff.
Start. Offense number 71, 5-yard penalty, second down.
But there was a handoff in 2012, Norm Parker to Phil Parker, 2 great defensive coordinators, the late great defensive coordinator Norm Parker, no relation, and Phil Parker is still quoting him. You know, don't rob Peter to pay Paul, still ringing in his ears.
Yep.
Second and 15. That throw is right there. And Wampa again creates sparks off a helmet. It's Keith Reynolds. Wampa is a nightmare.
I mean, it's just textbook. Watch Wampa come in here and lower the Wamp. Boom. Drive the hips. Wrap. Look at his feet finish to the ground. Teaching tape.
Third down, Williams. That throw is right there. Some zip on it. Rasheed Williams one more time. It's a first down to the former high school basketball player in California.
I think Damon is showing you that not just a runner, and he's electric it that way, but man, he can sling it over 10,000 passing yards for the 5'11 Dynamo in high school.
And just 12 picks, so 93 touchdowns 12 interceptions, also 42 rushing touchdowns. You can see why out of Chandler, Arizona. There is huge hope for what he might be. And that's not to say Will Rogers isn't going to be the quarterback this year, because he is.
He is, but I think over the course of the season, you will see more demand, especially if you've got challenges at your tackles that you saw today. You know, for Will Rogers, you could see that eye black, and his body's going to be real sore. Everything's been beat up a little bit today. But Demond is the future.
2nd down and 7. Here's Williams, and he gets blasted and knocked down by Shire, the junior out of Iowa Falls.
We had an old host at our station back in Seattle, just a legend in the market named Dave Grosby. And he would always say, be careful about getting tired. Don't get tired of losing. Excuse me. Don't get tired of winning.
Yeah.
Sorry, totally screwed that up, Ross. Don't ever get tired of winning.
Yeah.
And Iowa fans, don't ever get tired of this kind of style and all this winning.
Keith Reynolds is down very close to the line to gain. It's going to be 4th down. Intringer again.
It's going to be go zone. Does that make sense?
It does.
It's 7, it's 8, it's 10. Occasionally it could be 12. This year, this team plays like this. It could be 10.
What if somebody says, well, we want to go to the college football playoff more?
Well, with 12 teams, and you get to 10 wins, you'll have that opportunity.
And the league championship, you know, there's possibilities there. There's another form tackle from Wampa.
Don't ever get tired of winning. I know it's hard. I know you match up against the elites and Penn States and Michigans and whatever. And Ohio State's, the record's not been great. But man, every Saturday, do they play just such sound, fundamental football and give themselves a chance.
Williams, end zone incomplete. If I would have told you Washington by the 4th quarter, 4-minute mark would have 3 14-play drives, what would you have said the score was?
Not 40-10, not even close. But the turnovers.
Missed field goal.
Special teams. And you're just kind of feeling really like 26 years. Yeah, I mean, see the total yards. Look at that. Yeah. But field position, turnovers. I mean, you're feeling 26 years of continuity versus 9 months.
Sam Adams, the second, is checked in as the tailback. Williams flowing behind him. He'll throw it right to the goal line, and that is Williams. Is he in? They'll talk about it. We'll have a discussion. Williams says it's a touchdown, please. It is. Touchdown, Washington.
You know what this play is called, Jay?
What do you got?
Sprint right option.
It's because he's sprinting to the right and it's an option route, right?
And they've run that since the 1980s in Jed Fish's playbook. Again, a day one install for some of the young puppies that are getting a chance. Ooh,
is he good?
That's really close. I think you saw why that headlinesman had a little conversation there.
It's tough. You know, it does change the perspective when the camera's not directly down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what replay will look at here. It is very difficult to overturn off this look at the angle, we've been told in the past. This is under further review. They've stopped play. So for Rashid Williams, a four-year high school wide receiver and defensive back out of Brentwood, California.
And his family right now are saying, don't take his first career touchdown away. You called it a touchdown. And I think that is an astute point that you're right, Jason. We have heard from a lot of replay officials. We hear from Mike Pereira just as far as the best look is going to be that head linesman looking right down the line. He's stationed right where he's supposed to be. Because from this view, it doesn't look like that ball ever crosses the plane, but you just can't see depth-wise like that head linesman can right down the line.
Yeah, it's just difficult to overturn. So it would seem like the call on the field would stand. We'll see.
After reviewing the play, the runner was short of the goal line when his knee was on the ground. The ball will be placed inside the 1-yard line, and it will be third down.
Okay. I mean, that's what it looked like.
Yep.
But it's tough to overturn. They had enough. There is that pylon. Just in case you didn't know where we were, they've got the logoed pylon. You feed Williams again here? You're so close to the goal line. Try and get him that touchdown?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to always be careful in those situations. You got to go to what you believe in.
They'll put him in motion, and they'll run it, and they're not going to get there. Jackson Rexroth with the stop.
Does it matter who it is? First string, second string, backup, doesn't matter. Right? You beat that block. You can see DeGraff, the true freshman, coming over. Right? Iowa's run this play, and you mentioned it with Eli Miller coming over and sealing that edge. But the true freshman doesn't bring the thump. He doesn't clear it out, and instead, a negative play and a 4th down.
So Sam Adams loses about 1.5 yards. And it's going to be marker. Timeout. They'll give the timeout. So we just one more timeout before a penalty, before we send you to BYU, Arizona. Tomorrow, an NFL doubleheader on Fox. First, Kyler Murray and the Cardinals take on the Packers, or other regional action, including maybe Cooper DeJean and the Philadelphia Eagles. Or America's Game of the Week later, Jared Goff and the Lions take on Dak and the Cowboys in our doubleheader. Local listings have the game in your area. It's all on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Who wins the Super Bowl right now? Who you got? Pick a team.
Chiefs Lions.
Ooh.
Chiefs Lions.
Okay. Who wins?
One knows how to win. He's just done it all season long. Lions are just so physical, a lot like these Hawkeyes I love that you just hit. I'll take those two.
Way to pander to the Detroit community.
Yeah.
It's nice. What would you call that mask?
Bunch of autographs on the hat.
Looks heavy.
Fourth and goal.
And got to the tailback. Play action. Williams throws for the touchdown, and they did get it to Rashid Williams, who said that one is a touchdown.
Just an awesome job by the young guys right there, executing and getting through a whole bunch of traffic. You're going to see it come across here. We've seen it really from both teams and a bunch of third downs and into the red zone. And there's Williams just navigating all of that mass of humanity. That's all you care about as a quarterback. Get through, please. Get through. Get on the other side so I can find you and get you that first career touchdown.
And they'll go for 2. Williams again, backpedaling, and he is engulfed. Deontay Craig, what a long reach he had. All right, let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary, sponsored by Pacific Life, creating financial security for nearly 160 years.
Well, I think this is going to be all Iowa, starting with the Caleb Johnson touchdown there. Just tremendous push at the point of attack. There he was, getting out on one of those routes where you cleared it out for him with all the traffic, and he snuck underneath. And then this guy's just different at 225. We're seeing it right in college football this year with running backs that are so big yet so dynamic. And speaking of dynamic, how about a long touchdown pass for Iowa? They've not said that much this season.
It's a 33-yard strike, second game with 40+ for the Hawkeyes.
It'll be a learning lesson, I think, for both sides, kind of reinforcing to Iowa after a tough week at Ohio State. Like, nope, we play our game, we play our details, we're going to be just fine in the second half of the season. And for these guys, getting on that plane back to Seattle, this has been a close group. We heard it from a lot of the players, from Jed, you know, lots of guys from lots of places, a melting pot that's come together, really enjoy one another. But, man, some real lessons learned at the hands of Kirk Ferentz. Allison?
Today, throughout this game, being around the Washington sideline, because it's cozy over there. You can get a good sense, that's for sure. And the one thing I noticed that people stayed positive. And yes, there was frustration, but there wasn't fracture. And I didn't see division. I didn't see blame. And I think that says something for this group with all the new pieces, like you mentioned. I know they're not interested in moral victories after playing for a national championship last year, but there's something to be said about the unity of that group.
Yeah, Jed Fish said we're getting there.
Yep.
Right, you know, about the factions and the group really coming together. And he said kind of, you know, to the players, there is a long-term culture, and then there is the identity of this team. It could take 11, 12 games to figure out what this team's identity is.
Yeah.
But to his leadership committee, he said, if you set something that we can work with moving forward as a group, whether you're here or not, that's really what's going to be the jackpot.
Yep. And they get to watch it in real time, as we've seen with those tablets, and then they'll get to all watch the tape and say, here's the 15 or 20 plays, guys. We talked about details and execution and being on it. And Iowa was. You know, Jonah Coleman was so fun to talk to, and he said, you know, all week it's Iowa is Iowa. You know, they're not going to surprise us. There were no new blitzes today. There was no new run plays today. You knew what they were going to do. So then the follow-up is, well, what do you do? Well, you execute, and your details have to be better than their details. And they just simply were not.
It's funny how Iowa is Iowa, still travels to the West Coast for a guy who has never played Iowa, but that was the message all week from Jed Fish. Like, don't look at tape and seek out some mistake they're going to make, because it's not there.
Or think this team used this against us, we're going to see it again. No, you're not. You're going to see inside zone.
And then Sullivan. Yep, first down. That'll take us down to the 2 minute. Well, there's a marker that came in. A couple of them have come in. The officials have rushed in.
I think that may be a backup Iowa O-lineman that once again just drove a Husky another 15 yards, and then there's grabbing a face mask.
After the play
and
was
some
over, a
frustration.
personal foul face mask. Defense number 27. That 15-yard penalty be added to the end of the run. It includes an automatic first down. This is the 2-minute timeout for the second half.
It's on Washington's Vincent Holmes. All Iowa today. Big Noon Saturday is sponsored by Hampton by Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Football can transport you to another era just in looking at a face mask. Brock?
Yes, and it did for me this week. Bunch of Hall of Famers. And just when you watch tape of these teams and you see those face masks, I was like, I've seen that before. Oh, that's right. It was in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 60s, and Johnny Yu and Staubach and Steve Largent. And the little gumball machines that had that same face mask on the little plastic helmet.
You put in the quarter, and then you turn the dial, and then one of them comes out, and it's usually the one that you have 5 of.
Yes.
So Kirk Ferentz is about to win his 200th game at Iowa. And that is a bunch of players who know exactly what this means to this program.
Pretty cool. Longest tenured coach doing it. He has survived a college football landscape that's changed just a little bit in his 26 years, but so much of his standards have not.
They've run for 212 today. There's Washington hitting the hole hard. Families affected by Hurricanes Milton and Helene urgently need your support. Help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to people when they need it most. Donate today by going to redcross.org or calling 1-800-RED-CROSS. We appreciate whatever you might be able to offer. They're going to call it 3rd and 1. One more run for the road. Washington twirled around. He's got a first down coming up after the game. Stay tuned for College Football Extra, sponsored by Defender. In season number 1 as the head coach at Iowa, Kirk Ferentz put up 1 win. 3 wins the next year. After that, 196 others. This today against new Big Ten rival Washington is win number 200 for Kirk Ferentz as the head coach at Iowa. And he is with Allison Williams.
Coach Ferentz, congratulations on the win. How would you describe the way all three phases stepped up to deliver this victory?